Okay, so this is another in my One Way You Can Transform series of practices. And in today's sequence, we're going to be looking at downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and we'll be shifting our attention to the feet. So often we will approach this posture maybe with an emphasis upon the shoulders, maybe those shoulders moving away from your ears, with an emphasis along the spine, moving that spine up towards the tailbone, or it could be the legs. So I'm going to shift our focus to the feet as a means towards coming into the shape, and then what we do within the shape with our feet. And hopefully through that movement of the feet, you will experience what's happening with your spine, and perhaps it brings a slightly more grounded quality to the focus when we're in the pose. Okay, so starting from all fours, I'd like you to establish your all fours position. Again, remember from the cat-cow, we don't want those hands really close in towards us. We want a bit of space so that we can find the neutral curves of the spine in our all fours position. So take a few moments to establish the position of your hands and your knees that you feel comfortable. If you have any wrist issues, perhaps those hands are a little bit further ahead. If you need a bit more space for your body, perhaps your knees are moving a little bit wider apart. So you're sort of bedding yourself into this shape here, this familiar shape of all fours. And then I'd like you to bring your awareness to your feet. And at the same time, we're going to come to the breath. So focusing for a few moments on the in-breath and then on the out-breath. Maybe there's a little wave to help you bring some movement and breath together. So with your exhalation, I'd like you to tuck your toes under, stretch the back of the feet, the heels. And with the in-breath, I'd like you to soften the front of your feet down to the ground. And it depends on your ankle mobility here as to how much those feet are able to stretch and how much those feet are able to soften in particular. But we just want to encourage that spaciousness as much as we can across the feet. See if we can connect to the toes, to all the toes, including the big toe and the baby toe. And it might be that your baby toe isn't reaching the ground, but your intention is to connect, to make that connection. So, a few rounds of just waking up your feet, bringing your awareness to that grounding quality that happens on the exhalation. And then what I would like you to do as you exhale, without changing the position of your spine, is to take your hips back towards your heels. And then as you inhale and soften the feet, invite your shoulders to tip forwards ever so slightly beyond your wrists. So on the exhalation, you sway back. And on the inhalation, you sway forwards. And just have that little check-in with your wrists as well. So see the ease that comes when you shift your body weight back towards your heels. And then see how it feels as you take your shoulders forwards. And something I always say to my students in class, this is not an open shape with the hips. We're not aiming for this drop down through the belly. We're aiming for containment around the core and for the spine. So we're trying to maintain the integrity of the spine as we go through this little sway. I often refer to this as like a tabletop, swaying backwards and forwards. So the tabletop doesn't really change its shape. It's the sway of your legs and your arms, the table legs that are moving it forwards and backwards. So we're going to start to approach downward facing dog. You could get into that feeling or that quality of as you're moving your hips back, you're starting to discover the length, the position that we might be emulating in our down dog shape. So moving the shoulders away from the wrists as we shift our body weight towards the heels. So have a little go of taking the hips back, lifting the knees up in that backward position. So you're very much more towards the feet than away from them. And to shift yourself forwards again, lift up the heels, bend the knees, breathing in. And then exhale, shift the weight back again towards the heels, knees up. So the legs are very much determining the sort of lift in the shape, and the arms are directing the position of the spine away from your wrist. So you're finding that triangular formation of down dog before you've even got into the shape. So a few rounds of easing yourself, just experimenting really, taking the hips back, lifting the knees up through the heels, lifting up and down. So let's find that down dog shape. And what I'd like you to explore is both heels lifting as you breathe in. So you'll experience, or potentially experience, a lift of the pelvis and a shift of the spine forwards a little towards your wrist. And then on the exhale, the heels lower down. So again, we're finding that sway. It's very much determined now by the feet, the sway. And you can explore this for a few rounds. On the in-breath, lifting up the heels. And on the out-breath, settling those heels in the direction of the earth. So let's bring ourselves to all fours. Give those wrists a chance to recover. And maybe take a few moments in child's pose, settling into your body towards the earth. Have a little sway. So we'll just try that approach once more. I invite you to really experiment with your postures so that you can kind of get to know them for your body, get to know them kind of inside out, try lots of different variations and embody it. And then that way you can really begin to share it with others. So, inhale, my feet are soft. Exhale, swaying back towards the heels. So just try that again. Inhale, the feet are soft, a little sway forwards. And then back again towards the heels, knees lift off the ground. So as my weight shifts away from the hands, it moves into the feet towards the earth. Lifting up, a little sway. Exhale, grounding down. Don't forget those shoulders are probably going to be reaching up by your ears a little bit at times, so finding that space away from your ears and across the neck. And then when you are ready, I'd like you to find the all fours shape, settle back into your child's pose. And you can carry on experimenting with that if you would like to, if you prefer to rest. Just take a few moments in your child's pose before you come up slowly, slowly, slowly to a neutral position in your body. Take a few moments to notice how you feel. So with the head low to the ground, you have that inversion quality coming in, the head below the heart. So it takes some time for us to come back to neutral, not just in our body, but also internally as well. Okay, thank you. Visit yogacampus.com and register your interest.